Jessica Harris. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for making the time. We were just talking about how your life has become 10 times more challenging than
Yes.
before, and it was already challenging quite a bit already.
Yes.
So, our topic is going to be the current crisis in terms of shortage among the seniors, right? Seniors and children are our most vulnerable communities, obviously, and a civilized society should take care of its most vulnerable first. But it
Yes.
seems that our society, for some reason, we call ourselves civilized, we seem to like to attack our most vulnerable first, which is quite a moral, let's call it a moral scandal. In any case, so you are quite the career person. You have done so much, right? I was looking at your LinkedIn profile, and there is so much that you have done at such a young age. You are currently a resident services program development. I want to make sure the title is correct. Coordinator in the Howard County Housing Commission in Maryland, right?
Yes. In Columbia, Maryland. Yes.
Columbia, Maryland. So, tell us about that job, and more crucially, is how did you get to that point, and where did you start from in terms of your ambition? What do you want to be as you have a lot of ahead of you, but in terms of where you are right now, where did you come from in terms of person, and tell us about all that.
Okay. So I am originally from Richmond, Virginia. I came to Baltimore in 96 and I had a real estate management company. So I managed for private investors in Baltimore City who owned multiple homes, row homes, developments in the city. Come early 2000, I decided to changed my focus because I had transitional houses. I had houses for foster children who were aging out. And of course, we hit 2009 when the market started to do a big tumble and fold. And a lot of my investors, of course, they wanted to keep their primary residences. So I wrapped up that business. I had, I made a major death in my family around 2009 that took me away from Maryland for 5 years.
Mhm.
But I ended up back in Richmond, Virginia, and I worked for 5 years with a client to build off-campus housing, affordable off-campus housing for VCU students. And then in 2015, I ended up back in Baltimore. And the whole time of course, I was a private contractor. When I came back to Baltimore, I saw a need for not jumping back into real estate management so much, but what are people who are living in affordable multifamily and affordable senior housing? What are they doing after the rent is paid the
Mhm.
first of the month? They have other needs. They had other things that they needed. So I started, working with HUD, talking to different friends I had at HUD, like, I want to learn more about service coordination. And around that time, it really wasn't funded well. People didn't talk about it. But I stumbled onto the American Association of Service Coordinators, received my designation, and I incorporated it into my business. So I have about 28 years now fully doing, from real estate management, service coordination, which brought me to ending my 28 years of being totally self-employed as a consultant to come into Howard County Housing Commission in January of 24.
Mm.
Um, and it was all from a LinkedIn private message. Someone had heard a client that I had here in Columbia, Maryland for 5 years, and I did service coordination for their senior affordable housing for elderly and disabled adults. And the contract completed. And within the transition of it completing in like February 2021, I got an opportunity to go back to school on a full scholarship to receive my degree in gerontology
Mm.
and aging. So I took advantage of it. So I
Nice.
went, I just jumped right in with school. And of course, being in college, taking gerontology, of course, your professors and people already see like, hey, you should do this. So I double majored.
Mm.
and got picked up by Freddie Mac to
Mm.
come and do some work with them on an internship. And it was very challenging because at the same time, the FDA picked me up for another internship because they wanted my knowledge of working with seniors for the food,
Mm.
looking at the Meals on Wheels, looking at the different food that are being served to our seniors in affordable housing. So I did an 8-month internship with them. So I guess I wrapped that whole thing up to, like I said, January of 2024. That private message was, can you come and help us? We would love to have you on our team. And I'm like, sure, why not?
Why not? Yeah.
So I guess it brings me all the way forward to now. I'm, getting ready to complete my second year with the Housing Commission, and it has been a great experience. I've met amazing residents. As you know, I work with seniors and I work with families with children. But as you stated when we first started this conversation, it's very I think I want to say it's heavy on your heart. It's heavy in this role. If you're a service coordinator and you're working with these large different populations, multicultural, everyone's being affected in some type of way right now from the SNAP benefits being cut, or basically I say we're going to be holding on by a string even if they give us temporary funding. I'm just worried about going into the new year. If we have some temporary funds right now, we make it through November, what about the first and second quarter of 2026? So I'm trying my best now to work with you, of course, Witlingo and other nonprofits that we have partnerships with here in Howard County. And it's just to get anything that we can. Unfortunately, I guess that comes to another side. When we get into situations like this where there's a food shortage and SNAP is going to be kind of off the table soon for a lot of people, now we got to look at the quality of food,
Yeah.
because quality of food was already an issue before with food pantries and getting things from food banks and these local deliveries, because a lot have sodium, a lot of canned foods are not good for seniors, and their health is already, not the best. Even though I work with seniors who live in independent living, you got to think some of them came 20, 30 years ago. They aged in place.
Mm.
So you want to make sure, and I know it's very hard because organic and healthy foods are expensive. And now where we are, at this time, I can't even focus on healthy food. I have to really think about just giving them something to sustain them. Um, so I think I have a double-edged sword, because I'm thinking about what's their health going to be after this, or when is this going to, balance out and they're going to give them SNAP that is beneficial, because seniors prior to all of this happening were getting $15 a month. I don't understand how seniors who they barely get $900 a month in Social Security, and you only give them $15 a month in SNAP. So that was a whole nother issue before this. So I guess at this point, I just am trying my best to keep myself composed enough to be able to stay mentally strong, because that's a big thing. As a service coordinator, we have to take compassion therapy. We have to take therapy ourselves, because just imagine the cases and the things that come through on a daily basis. And now in this climate, it can be overwhelming. And if you're the only person like me right now who's handling this whole division for the entire Housing Commission, Housing Authority, and we own about 3,000 doors. So that's a lot for one person.
Of course, no, it's not just a lot. It's an impossible mission. Um, so yeah, I think that's well. First of all, for folks who will be watching us say 2 years from now, let's just make sure people understand our context right now. We are, what's today, November 4th,
Yes, 2025.
2025. We are 1 month into the government shutdown that is turning out to be quite the nasty situation. There's a deadlock. And our president has decided to cut SNAP from folks, right? I think the court has ordered him and his administration to disperse, but he apparently is going to give in only like half, right? Half of
At
half,
50%.
50%, right? In this tug of war between Republicans and Democrats, where, just to give folks 2 years from now some context, because I think it's going to be lost, both of them are trying to basically position themselves for the 2026 elections. That's basically what's happening, right?
Yes.
Now, of course, I mean, just to give some more context, is I think the Democrats are holding on because if they don't, folks will lose their or will see degradation or see a rate increase in their healthcare
Hmm.
costs. And then the Republicans, of course, they're playing their game of chicken, right? Um,
Hmm.
and so that's where we are, just for the folks who are watching us and wondering why we're so anxious. Now, um, so let me just dig a little deeper into your role today. What is your, I know you have 100%, 100 responsibilities. What is your core driving mission for your particular job, like within the county?
So I am to provide, my core mission is to provide supportive services and resources. And because I am one person and we don't do direct support, what I have set up and what our mission is to provide those in referrals to our community partners. So we have MOUs and we have a strong partnership with multiple agencies and nonprofits that only service the Howard County, Columbia areas. Um, and we've partnered with them. And what I've designed is through Smartsheet, I've designed a needs assessment survey. And anyone who lives in a commission-owned community that I'm assigned, they would actually fill out this needs assessment survey. The survey then triggers, I'm sorry about that. The survey
Same
then
here.
triggers
Go ahead.
yeah, the survey then triggers a list of resources that they can actually click on the hyperlinks and go straight to our partners so that they can apply at their websites. The great part about it is the system has that automated. I've set up a new section for anyone who comes and they're furloughed to send them to a completely different resources and grants, as well as now. I'm working with our partner, Making Change, who does our financial counseling. And a lot of people who are seeking rental assistance or trying not to lose their apartments or their homes, we're offering right away. We ask that, that strong question. Are you interested in budgeting, credit, working out a financial plan to help you get through these times? And if they say yes, then they are actually, able to download and get started with intake. So our full mission is to make viable referrals to our partners. The best part about it is not only just make the referrals, working with my partners on the back end to get outcome reports. So only if I'm making, 100, 200 referrals a month, I want to know who got support, who got help, and they give us a rating. They follow up. We send out a text and email 7 days after we send a referral, 30 days, and then also they get an opportunity to come back through if they are experiencing any other hardships that are outside of the original request. So I started setting up the system last November. I
Hmm.
launched it January of this year. And it has been growing because I found that, collecting the data for the areas that I'm assigned and the sites that I'm assigned, I can look and work with our grant writer to say, hey, this is an area, this zip code, this property is experiencing a high, need for food, or this area is experiencing a large number of people who are, seeking GEDs or additional education or employment. So I use the system to kind of gauge how to work each month. And I'm a quarterly person, so I plan ahead each quarter in advance. So we have created a community pulse survey. It goes out to every community that I'm assigned, but also to the people who've come to me for support. And I want to know, tell us what's going on with you. And right now, I've had my contractor who works with me behind the scenes. We created a SNAP survey, sent it out to over 1,400 people last Friday, and then we shot it out again this morning
Oh,
because we want to know how many people in the household are going to be affected. Please give us more information. And I'm going to take that data, put it into, a nice dashboard, and I'm going to present it to our grant writer and say, hey, any grant out there to help me fill these food pantries, help me fill my sites, please show them my data, show them what we're getting back. So I'm a real big person on data. I'm a big person on, I know that I need numbers, I need information, I need feedback in order for me to know how to effectively serve the communities as a service coordinator. Because, we can make referrals all day. I can get outcome reports that say, oh, the person never reached out. So where does that leave that person?
yeah.
Did they get evicted? Did they end up in a homeless shelter? Are they facing a mental health challenge? Those things, bother me. So I am big on, I want to know what's going on and where they went, so that I could actually provide that support because sometimes some people, feel like everything's so automated and I don't have AI or chats or anything. Everything is just simply, you get the resources, you can click, you can apply. But I have to make sure that I
Yeah.
focus on making sure that our residents are being held accountable as well. Because if you do come to us and you are $7,000 behind on rent,
Mhm.
your gas and electric is about to get cut off, your water, you know, I want to help you to get out the situation, but I also want you to help yourself going forward because I should not see you 12 months later after my partner has,
Yeah.
our community partners have helped you to prevent eviction, to keep your lights on, to restore your water service. We shouldn't see you every 12 months asking for the same thing because then that means I'm not effectively doing my job. Because when we make the referrals, I want you to take accountability, but also say, hey, what can I do to make this situation so I'm not here again next year?
Yeah, so
Um,
somebody else uses the resources. It's not the same. Yeah.
else use it because it becomes a trend,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
me having almost finishing my second year, I started looking at the data and that's what I started presenting to the director and, and other partners and saying, hey, you notice that this amount of people, it's an uptick. The same people are
Mm.
recycling through the system. What I'm doing is tracking that. I'm tracking, when the first request came in, when the second, when the third, and I'm comparing that data. And if their name is coming up two
Yeah.
and three times, right now twice, that's concerning because if me going into my third year, if I see that again, then I really want to focus on working one-on-one with referring them so that they can get that counseling that they need.
Yeah. 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 Amazing.
Yes.
So the folks who are taking or being served by you are the residents.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Directly. Those are the people who apply?
No, so we have the residents that live, and I'm sorry, I gotta stand up for a
It's
second.
okay.
The residents who live in the communities that I'm assigned, but also we have Howard County residents who live, in Howard County, who live in Howard County. Okay, who live in Howard County and they found out about us and they're like, you know what, let me fill out this survey link because what I'm finding is people will say in offices, they're going to our partners and they'll say, hey, talking in the lobbies, and they're like, you need to just use Jessica. Call Jessica or figure out, how to get Jessica to help you. So I did create an area in our needs assessment survey that is Howard County resident, meaning that person doesn't live in any commission-owned property for
Mm-hmm.
the housing authority that I'm working for. But it takes 2 seconds for them to, get the support that they need. All they do is fill out
Yeah.
the survey link and it sends them everything back for them to just apply. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to turn anybody down,
Yeah.
even though I know I'm overwhelmed a little bit sometimes, but I never say no. And I know that was a
Yeah, well,
big
that's the
problem
pitfall of
before.
generous people.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to do that. It takes less than 2 seconds. If
Yeah.
they fill out the survey, they can get everything they need. So,
Yeah. So you expanded it to more to a broader range of residents, right?
Yes,
Right.
yes, yes. It's
Okay.
a broader range of
So,
residents and not just in our properties that we
yep.
own.
Okay. But it's residents who apply, right? So it's a resident who, let's say they're having an issue with their rent, meeting rent this month,
Yes.
right? And they discover you,
Hmm.
and they're like, "Oh my gosh,
Hmm.
hope," right? And then they
Hmm.
they go they go to the right place and they sign up, and then you engage them, or and then you do what you need to do, right?
So what happens is we have it on our website as well as I'm working on putting kiosks in
Hmm.
all of our sites. So people who don't like right now, I'm assigned to 6 sites because I can only handle 6 sites. So I have 2 seniors and then three let me see. I'm sorry. I have 3 seniors and 3 senior and 3 multifamilies. So I'm assigned to those and I provide supportive services, but the supportive services part is very different from the community engagement. So if someone has our link, which is in my email tag for resident services support,
Hmm.
they would just fill that out because they're saying, hey, I need eviction prevention. I need energy assistance. They fill the link out and they get everything, and then they're referred directly to where they need to go. The other part of my job that we didn't talk about yet is I do community engagement. So in our senior properties, the same partners who help us with all of these other resources and services, I plan monthly full calendars of activities. So for seniors, we have a partnership with Senior Plan and AARP. I do technology training with them. So they all got free laptops. When I first started, I got to work with Making Change, who had a grant from the state. We gave every senior a free Chromebook. So now every 5 weeks, they have complete computer training, how to do Gmail, how to make sure you're not doing any scams online. They do all kind of technology training, as well as like today, I'm at a site and we're going to have Making Change. They're going to come in and it's going to be how to prevent being exploited, seniors being exploited and falling into scams, because this is a big season now.
Yeah.
Because with the Medicare, we've had people try to come in off the street and tell them, we can help you to keep your Medicare, we can help in their scam, and they just want their social. So I'm doing a lot of prevention of scams, exploitations, workshops. We do living well workshops where people, we talk about healthy living, healthy eating, walking together, the buddy systems when you're seniors. And that's just for the senior sites. We do all kind of different engagements. I celebrate all of their birthdays quarterly. I do a lot of arts and craft events with them to keep their cognitive abilities. And I float between sites. So I'll do half a day one place and do activities, and the next day the next half of the day we'll do a workshop at another site. So I really split those 6 properties up. Of course, senior property is completely different from what you engage with at a multifamily with children. So those sites, I do a lot more mental health for the children, mental health for the adults. We do a lot more resources of if they need feminine products, if they need diapers, because there's a lot of newborns. I do a lot of resource fairs at my multifamilies. I try to do them every quarter where I bring out all my partners where you can get everything from getting eviction prevention to, sanitary products, things that you need, household items. So I've really split it up, but my calendar, I do all of this at those 6 sites every month. So the goal is for me to work on getting a grant. I'm working with our new grant writer, so that I could put a kiosk at all, because it's only 6 sites, but we have a lot of properties. Like I said, 3,000 doors. So I want to put a kiosk in every site, multifamily and senior, that doesn't have a coordinator like myself, so that it will be in their lobby area, not in the leasing office, because we want people who are working families. What if they can't get to the leasing office by 5 p.m.? So if it's in the lobby, they'll be able to go to the kiosk, and that survey that I told you about, they'll hit the screen and they'll give them the survey that they fill out, and it'll immediately send to their phone and email. So that if it's 1 in the morning and they're in the lobby, they'll be able to apply for eviction prevention, whatever time of the day they need. And they'll still have access to do it, through our website as well. But that is a big challenge for me right now. I'm trying to work with a developer, a PWA developer to get this app created. To be in these kiosks. So I'm doing a lot of projects flowing into 2026 that I hope will come to fruition. And I got the green light to do them, but of course, I don't want to drop the ball on my sites that I'm already working with because it's a beyond a full-time job. It's
Of course.
beyond a full-time job.
Sure is, it sure is.
Yes.
But right now, let's just to go back to the matter at hand. Food, right? Let's feed folks who are hungry
Ooh,
so that we
yes.
can. And then like you said, I think that's very important what you said about the quality of food, not just filling their stomach, right?
Yes.
I think
Mm-hmm.
in the short term, like everything else, in short term, do whatever you can, but it can't be where we're always working within the short term, month after month, bad food,
Yes.
crisis, anxiety, and all that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so this is sort of just to bring it back to the like why you and I connected is
Yes.
I think you can help quite a bit with your knowledge and wisdom because the whole philosophy here is there are so many. Here's the thing that I found out about service coordinators. They are really special heroes that people don't know how special they are. I mean, they go out of their way to do
Yes.
things. Sometimes, unwisely, they spend from their own pocket, which is, uh,
Sometimes we
that should
do.
not
Sometimes we do.
that should not happen, right? I mean, they
Yeah.
already are themselves, financially precarious, right? It's not like they're rich people.
Mm-hmm.
They are, they're like
Yeah.
that's why they have so much compassion is because they know what the folks are going through, except that it's worse, much worse, right?
Yes. And
Anyway,
the
the
best
point.
part about,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, the best part about my job is working for the first time with a housing commission, housing authority. They give you a budget and each site has funds. Unlike being 28 years self-employed, all the funds were from me, and then I have to build back and pray that my clients could afford it, things. So things have evolved. I am
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
things a lot different now.
So it gives you some margin to be
Yes.
creative and plan, right? Not always be under the gun.
Hmm.
Um,
Yes.
my point really is the following: that there all this sort of wealth of compassion and expertise in the community of service coordinators, right? And how we're leaving a lot on the table. Oop, it's okay.
I'm sorry. When a resident came in and he
Uh-huh.
just told me he's going to give me a bagel. I'm sorry, I got excited.
Ah, no, a bagel
I'm
is
still
that's very important, right?
properties right now, and he was just like,
Absolutely.
"Do you want a bagel?"
Yes, I do. Um,
Yes.
my point was there's this community of service coordinators, um,
Yes.
and the thing is, how do we leverage all of that energy and all of that, just compassion, and have them have this community of service coordinators sort of just take this very well defined problem right now, which is food. How do we? Because I talked to about a dozen folks, and some of them they figure it out, right? They know their community. They have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were not trained to do because they have gumption and they have just like spirit of
Yeah.
doing it, right? They went to Costco and they talked to somebody there and they just figured out a way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody to freeze the food. Somebody to
Yes.
high school to transport it. Sort of they were very impressed, that they were creative enough to say, I have resources here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to be a leader in a sense, right? And
Yes.
I mean, you're doing it at a higher level. I mean, even more extensive level, multiple layers up there, right? But these are folks who are very well defined problem. They see the resources, they say, why not? And they go
Mm-hmm.
and they create their own little
Yes.
program, right? Whereas I've seen others who are just, you know, confused, feel completely powerless,
Mm-hmm.
are just they don't know where to start.
Mm-hmm.
They have this thing where they're waiting for people to come in and help them out. They're trying things
Yes.
in a haphazard way, and then sort of the insight here or the opportunity, let's say, is well, why can't this person who knows how to do it, share their knowledge, like
Exactly.
share their knowledge.
Exactly.
Things as I mean, there are things as small but become big friction points as who do I call in Costco and what do I say, right? And
Exactly.
what
And
do I
what do you
say?
say?
And what's the email, right? And what if they say no or they say X, Y, and Z? What should I? Those little things that
And
just
it's
tiny.
so ironic. It's so ironic you would say Costco because I sent them a month and a half ago because I knew what was looming, what was
Yeah.
coming. A month and a half ago, I sent them the one that is in our community, the local one that everyone here in Columbia, Maryland would go to. I sent them a letter politely, using, I created a letter using chat and it was very nice, professionally written out, and they returned it. It said return to sender,
Mhm.
undeliverable. And it was the store. So it was kind of odd for me. So I went into the store,
Mm.
and I spoke to a manager who took me to another manager who wasn't in. So it's so funny that you would say that because if there is another service coordinator, like per se, I work with DHCD, which is Department of Housing and Community Development. We have an engagement group of nothing but service coordinators. The thing is, a lot of us bump into brick walls where
Mhm.
we don't know who that contact person is, or the other side of this food problem, even before this SNAP problem, you'll reach out to like a Costco or a Wegmans or a Weis market, and they'll say, "Oh, I'm already doing that with another service coordinator. We don't want to do that with more than one." So the thing is, we would want some of the service coordinators to kind of like get together and say,
Yeah.
"Okay, so let's do this as a whole. If
Yeah.
they're only going to help one, let's just increase the amount and talk about the communities, increase the amount, and then we bring a truck, we bring our
Yeah.
vans, and
Yeah.
then we actually
Exactly.
just split up." Yeah,
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
I've always thought about like, right now it's just me, and I'm trying to like jump into all of these because this area, Howard County, which is Columbia, they serve just their own people. So it's not like someone from Baltimore County, Baltimore City, or PG County can come and get any resources here. You have to have an address here. So that kind of pushes me into a different space because I'm used to helping people from the entire state of Maryland, Virginia, PA. So I know I have to be very confined to this little area. But I really, like you were saying, the quality of food, and then why recreate the wheel? If
Why?
there's already a service coordinator
Who's figured out?
who
Yeah.
broke through and got an
Yeah.
advantage,
Yeah.
then there's an other side that we didn't talk about. In my experience, I've tried to connect with other service coordinators, love the service coordinators that I meet and who have the same passion and desire, and you know why they're a service coordinator. But then you meet some that, feel like, well, if you tell me anything extra, then I'm going to interfere with what you're getting for your residents. And what I'm trying
I
to
understand.
teach them is
Yeah.
we have to share. We have to share with each other. I don't want to take away from if you have 100 residents and you're getting a, a box full of 80 meals. You don't have enough to share, but your contact might have another contact. Let's just keep going down the line because
Yep.
where you might have 80 now, maybe that organization can speak to someone
Yeah.
higher and they can increase it.
Yep.
And it could just be just for service coordinators that
Yeah.
verify
Well,
themselves.
yeah, exactly. I mean, that kind of resistance, the thing is, you're absolutely right. If somebody contacts somebody else, and there's the dynamic. But if they
Yes,
understand it's within the context of a whole effort, like 200 service, do you want to be
yeah,
part of this community where let's do this together? Because what you're gonna get
yes,
out of it is a lot more than what you're gonna share. And plus,
absolutely.
so I think that's sort of like the idea is, can we get this where people in their people's head they say I'm part of, I don't know, a movement or part of a thing, right? I'm not by myself, or I'm just working with somebody else. We're pooling all
Yes,
treasure information. This treasure information, to be honest with you, is gold, right? Some people have figured it out. So why not,
yes,
right? And the vast majority I've found is they're pretty open and generous, right? They
yeah,
understand that it's not the zero sum game at all, right? It's actually
yeah,
a more a lot more fruitful and generative than that. And so I'm very hopeful that I mean there is the food banks and there is the government and so forth, but this is
Hmm.
a very, very wealthy, rich society. I mean, people don't
Yes,
understand that. There is a lot of, I mean, plus it is not a I don't, it's not the like people who don't. It is a compassionate society. The vast majority of
it
people
is.
I meet they do want to help, but they don't want
Hmm.
to be scammed. They don't want to be this. They don't want to be that, or they just don't know where to
Exactly.
start. Right? So
Hmm.
that the raw material, if we want to call it like that, is there. Right? And
Exactly.
maybe this crisis is an opportunity for us to just say, okay, enough of all that of being helpless. Yes, let's make sure the government work for us. Let's make sure the food banks work for us. But
Yes.
we are the government and the food banks, and still, as you wrote in your, I'm not going to read it because you have already covered it. As you wrote in your notes, you have people who are seniors who are going hungry multiple days.
Hmm.
I've had notes so that are pretty like shocking. Like they just use the money for the medicine and they just go hungry, and they just drink
Hmm.
like I don't know, they drink soup
Or they're skipping the medicine now,
or skipping the medicine,
because of this.
even
They're
worse.
skipping the medicine because if you think about it, the hunger side, just from me doing research and this gerontology and being in this field, um, when a senior starts to get hungry, it's not like a younger person between, 25 and 35. Their bodies react different because remember, they already have ailments and they have other things that are bothering them. So when their nutrition is lacking, they start feeling effects 45% faster
Wow.
than a younger adult who is just like, oh, I'm hungry and I'm just going to snack.
Mm.
We have a senior whose their bodies cannot, they're not going to be able to manage their thoughts and everything patterns. Everything's going to change,
Yeah.
because that hunger is a different type of hunger. Because now that you stopped your medicine, your body is trying to make up for, oh,
Mm.
it's missing something, because that is a big thing for us. If you think about it, if you take a medicine for 2, 3 to 5 years, what happens? Your body is looking for that, and it's almost like a withdrawal. So just imagine you being hungry and you stopped your medicine. It's a bad side effect. And that's why I try to tell people, anyone 65 and older, and or I'm just a 62 and older, and you start to tell them like, hey, we don't have enough food in the food pantry because the $15 that they got is gone and they could barely buy two things. You can't even buy a pack of meat for $15
That's fifty
sometimes.
dollars a month, right?
$15 a
I mean,
month. And they
is
and
it
they
is
went
it?
from $25 to $15. They
It's like
dropped
if the
them to
government wants to
$15.
insult us, that's what they would do. They would say, "I'll give you $15 for food," because like you said, you can't.
But this started after COVID. After
Yeah,
COVID, during
yeah,
COVID, they were getting $25.
I see.
Soon as COVID, like 2023, they all reduced to $15. And I'm not understanding that
Like,
because
what
they're
what can somebody
independent.
buy with to $15? What can you buy?
Nothing. Nothing.
You
I
cannot.
mean, I'm not going to say nothing, but I'm just going to say again, nothing healthy. You're going to get a microwave meals. The local Dollar Tree that was really close to our senior properties here in Columbia had refrigerated items, free frozen items. They removed the refrigerators last year,
Wow.
so they could go in there and spend $1.50 and get a frozen mac and cheese, which me and you both know microwave meals, all of that processed stuff is not good for them. But it would sustain them. They needed food. Now they don't even have that right now. They
Yeah.
took the $1.50, frozen foods and everything away.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, it's really shocking to be honest with you.